What's going on, guys? DICE has officially announced that Battlefield 5's last update will be releasing in June. This means that they will be free to work on the next Battlefield installment with zero distractions. DICE is already on thin ice, so they know that they have to get the next Battlefield game right. They tried their own way, and they screwed up. This is their time to prove that they are still a top tier studio, and I do believe that they will show that with the next Battlefield game. Battlefield 5 alienated the community, so DICE has to work in building up that trust again that they so deeply disregarded. When Battlefield 5 was announced, the Battlefield community stood up for what we believed was right. We did not want any sort of revision of history. Our history is important, so we would like for it to stay as close to what it was as possible. That was our feedback, and EA completely disregarded that. If you think back to Mr. Patrick Soderlund, he said that his daughter wanted to play as a woman because she could do that in Fortnite. That in itself is pretty annoying. You cannot compare a game for children to a game for a more mature audience. Things did not stop there though. Mr. Soderlund suggested that his 13-year-old daughter was correct, and that anybody who disagreed was ignorant and uneducated. As if insulting a fan base wasn't enough, he said if you don't like it, don't buy it. That statement pissed off a big part of the Battlefield community. It was clear to us that there was a different motive other than cosmetics, because he stated that he was on the right side of history and they were not going to take any flack because they were doing it for the cause. So when you sum up everything that Mr. Soderlund said, it was like a slap to the face. It was as if he himself had spit on the community. This is DICE's time to make things right. Their next installment will be the installment that makes or breaks the Battlefield community. I firmly believe that DICE will now take the community feedback a lot more seriously than they did with Battlefield 5. Because if they fail, I don't think part of the community is coming back. This is their chance, and I do believe that they will fully take advantage of the moment. I don't see DICE failing again, especially not when their jobs are at stake. It's okay for developers to have creative freedom, but at the same time, you have to respect the people that are actually buying the product. If you have developers who are miserable at their jobs, they're not going to put that much effort into it. They're not going to do a very good job. On the other hand, if you have consumers who are unhappy with the product, you won't have consumers for a very long time. There needs to be a balance, and with Battlefield 5, they tried to control everything, and they didn't take feedback too well when it was offered by the community, by the people who are buying the games. So I hope that DICE has finally learned their lesson. And I don't mean this in an arrogant way. This is me asking for balance. Think back to Battlefield 4. Launch was a mess. The community knew that the game needed to be fixed. They were asking for the game to be fixed. The developers knew the game needed to be fixed, and the developers fixed Battlefield 4. My point is that both the developers and the fanbase were on the same page. And if you think back to Battlefield 5, the developers and the community had different visions. We wanted a little more realism, a little more authenticity from a World War II shooter, whilst the developers wanted a little something different, a little more chaotic. The community spoke out, asked for change, and the developers insisted that their vision of World War II was far more important than the vision that the community had. This has to change. I do believe DICE will now understand that you cannot have happy developers and unhappy consumers. There needs to be a balance, and I believe that Battlefield 5 taught us that, not only to the developers, but to the community as well. As someone who did not support Battlefield 5 whatsoever, I still have faith that DICE will do what is right for the next Battlefield game. I believe they will try to get the community's faith and trust back. I have faith that the next Battlefield game will be one of the greatest Battlefield games that we have ever played. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribe for more content like this.
Use your flares!
Countersign detected at Whiskey Hotel. Aboard, aboard. We got a countersign. Abort mission. Aborting weapons release. Rolling out.
So, when we going to Moscow?
Not soon enough, man. But I know we're gonna burn it down when we get there.
When the time's right, Corporal. When the time's right.